Senator Rick Scott, Republican of the great state of Florida, member of the Budget, Homeland Security, and Foreign Relations Committees, is with me now in focus. Good to see you. Look, it's real what people feel. Joe Biden found that out the hard way. And so President Trump is answering back to what people say they are experiencing right now. Your take?
Well, first off, he's right. Trump inherited an absolute mess. We're losing full-time jobs. We're only adding part-time jobs. We had unbelievable inflation, the highest in my lifetime. Wages were not staying up with inflation, and Trump's done unbelievably in his first 11 months. Wages are up, inflation's coming down. He's bringing American jobs back. He's very focused on Americans getting good-paying jobs. Gas prices are down, which is the biggest driver of inflation. That's coming down. He's putting America first, so I think he has a lot to brag about, but we've got a lot of work to do. We did get the biggest tax cut done, but we have a lot of work to do. Biden left us a mess. We've got to get this budget balanced to completely get rid of inflation. We've got a lot of work left to do.
Well, you've got some wind at your back, and the president, I know, understands what's about to happen. People didn't realize how long this would take in terms of the big, beautiful bill. Look, it takes place in 2026. No tax on tips and all those things that were enumerated that are fantastic. The largest tax refund situation for many people across the country in their lifetimes. So all of that is coming, but it's the speed at which people want it now. And so the president is out there getting the word out. New Fox polling shows that voters are still not happy with the economy under President Trump, likely because of that timing. I'd like to do the drill down on exactly how those questions were asked. 72% say national economic conditions are not good or are in poor condition. 44% of voters say that they are falling behind in their personal financial situation. So you've got to hit this and address this, Senator. And I know state by state you're taking a look at the issue, too.
Well, we've got to grow jobs in every state. And then part of that's local government, state government, and part of it's the federal government. But reduce the fees, reduce the cost of living, reduce taxes. Make sure your property insurance taxes are up. Make sure property taxes are not up, or car insurance rate. I mean, we got to focus on all these things together. I know this president's doing it, and many of our governors are doing it, but we've got a lot of work to do. Trump inherited an absolute mess. We've got a lot of work to do to get this fixed.
Well, look, gasoline prices are some of the lowest that many people have seen, especially if you're under the age of 40. I mean, this is a big deal. That attacks every part of the economy. I visited the nuclear facility that was shuttered at 3 Mile Island yesterday. We've got some of that reporting coming up about how nuclear will play a role because of what this president is about to do. So we've got a lot going on. President Trump is already breaking his own record when it comes to using executive orders to enact his policies quickly. People want speed. He's working with it. Since January, he has signed 221 executive orders. That's already more than he signed during his entire first term, and far more than President Joe Biden signed over his entire 4 years in office. Senator, your response to that?
Well, unfortunately, he's having to do executive orders because the Democrats are doing everything they can to block any part of the Trump agenda. They have no interest in Trump having any success. Democrats, Chuck Schumer leading the effort, want Trump to fail. All they care about is politics and power. They do not care about helping the American public. So this president, unfortunately, has to use executive orders to get things done because, I just can't. I've been up here 7 years, and all that Schumer does is obstruct, obstruct, obstruct.
So, real quickly, health care. House passed the GOP version. What happens next?
Well, we've got to do something. Healthcare's in a crisis.
Yeah.
Since Obamacare, prices are way up. You can't get a doctor. The paperwork's ridiculous. We got to try something different. I've got a bill. Don't give money to insurance companies. That's what Trump wants to do. Give it to the individual if you're going to help them. Make sure that they can shop. Give them all the prices. Let them buy the insurance they want. You do that, the cost of healthcare will come down. That's what we got to do. We got to do something dramatically different to drive the costs down.
Terrific. Senator, thank you very much for being in focus. That healthcare piece will be a big player in the news cycle at the beginning of the year. I look forward to hearing all about your ideas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.